You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Okay. What's up? You having problems?
Yeah, we started on it. Give me about 5 seconds.
Okay.
All right, we're good to go.
All right.
Yep, we're live.
We are? Okay.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome back to the stream. I'm Yoko, and if it's Sunday night, it's time for the Game Show Talk and Fun podcast. I'm joined here with my co-host and good friend, Dick Clark Fan.
How you doing, everybody? Good to be with you again, Yoko.
Yep, same here.
All right, folks. Here's how it works. If you want to get in on our conversation, just join the chat room. If you want to get in on our voice conversation, just ask to be let in, and we'll send you a link to how you can get in and join the voice conversation.
Yep. And I know it's been a while. I had the convention. Voice has finally came back, as you can hear from that. But all in all, had a great time. Want to give a big shout out to everyone at DerpyCon. So thank you all for having me, and I hope to be back next year with everything. And we look forward to doing more shows next year with that. So right now we are in the process of editing the videos and getting them ready for YouTube. So had 4 shows, and that takes a lot of work to edit.
Yes, it does.
So, and
Well,
I still have to record my the end bumpers for everything. So
okay,
yeah,
so that's what's taking a little bit.
yeah, work and everything.
Yep.
But I know normally we start off with Smash or Trash. I'm not sure if we have anything this week.
Actually, we do.
Okay.
The Jeopardy Tournament of Champions.
Oh.
This, there's only us right now. Yoko, is this new format of the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions a smash or trash?
I'm not a fan of it because it deviates from what, the structure that Alex came up with.
I understand that, and yes, that format is perfect. And realize when Alex created it, there were exactly 15 5-day champions in that opening season.
And that was what, going back all the way to the red set, I think, right?
Yes, it was.
Let me ask this, because I know we're going to save that for our Jeopardy podcast.
Right.
What was the top prize back then for that first season?
$25,000.
And it stayed that way for, I think, it stayed that way for a long time?
Yeah, it stayed that way for a long time, and then it became $50,000 in the late 1980s. Then in the early 90s, it became $100,000.
That was during the bongo era, I think, right?
Yes, it was. And it stayed $100,000 until the 5-day limit rule was abolished. And then the grand prize became what we know now as $250,000.
Which was the top prize for the Super Jeopardy.
Yes.
See, that's the format they should have used. They should have used the Super Jeopardy format for tournament.
That would have been kind of hard to do, to replicate what that was, but I can see the logic in it.
Yes, I was going for more of the logic than
I can see
yeah. Because look, you had how many champions went into this?
into the Super Jeopardy tournament. I
No,
don't know of
into this tournament of champions, the current one.
Well, let's see here. 6 made it in to the semifinals, and there were 3 automatic qualifiers.
Right.
Here, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Could that 4? So we start with 4 for each round, and then from the 4, it still followed the normal tournament rules. The winner from each of those 4 of those matches that had the 4 moved on with the wild cards, correct?
Yes.
That's how you solve it. I'm not a fan of them doing it the way that when you get down to the final, the way that the greatest of all time tournament worked.
It has to work that way on purpose because there were so many super champions in this season.
All right.
This is a great subject, but we'll save actually breaking this down for the Jeopardy discussion,
Right.
like you said.
Along with the hosts and everything.
Yeah, we'll break that all down. But that is really the only bit of game show news that's been going on, other than what's been going on and the reruns on
Buzzer.
On Buzzer and the reruns that are going on. Oh, not Buzzer.
GSN.
Trying to think of it. Not GSN. Trying to think of the name of it. Pluto.
Oh, yep. Now, how's the celebrity? How's that one going?
That's going pretty well. They're into the semifinals tonight.
Yes, and
again, another subject for the Jeopardy discussion.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
most of everyone here knows how I feel about Jeopardy.
Right.
I was almost on that show as well
Right.
back in when they had the teen tournament when it came to Philly.
Yep.
So I tried out for it through my high school. I was runner up.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Everyone in the whole school should have said, "Nah, that you should have went to the tryouts."
Yeah.
Probably would have had my picture. Probably would have had one of those coveted pictures with Alex and everything. But anyway, like we said, that's another topic for our Jeopardy podcast.
Right.
But
Tonight,
yep, go ahead.
tonight's subject is probably the game show that started uh the athletic the athletic contest game shows that became popular in the early 1990s on television, American Gladiators.
I'm gonna. What about the All Star ones? You know, like the Battle of the Network All Stars. Wouldn't that have been first?
Would have been first, but this is really the first one that featured civilians
Right.
as the contestants.
And real quick, there is a game show connection to this. The gladiator that was Gemini was a contestant on Press Your Luck and, correct me if I'm wrong, Card Sharks?
Yes, he was.
Yep. So a lot of also notable people came from being a contestant on Press Your Luck.
Yep. We get Randy West from
Yes.
Press Your Luck.
And talk show host Jenny Jones.
Yes.
Was she the one that had
Again.
the end? Was she the one that had the end fall off?
Yes, I think she was.
But
Anyway.
We'll save press
Yeah.
for our discussion on that show because.
Yep. We could spend all night talking about Press Your Luck.
Yep. Let's face it, it's everyone's favorite game show.
One of them.
Yes. Probably in the top 10.
Right.
But.
Okay. When it all started, when American Gladiators all started, you know, it was a show in syndication for its entire run.
So that would have made it first run syndication?
First run syndication. Yeah.
Terminology I still need to learn, folks.
Yeah, first run syndication on the weekends primarily.
I did not know that. I didn't know that it was a weekend show because I always used to catch it on USA, like right after the 100,000, right after the pyramid.
Right. But it was a show that primarily aired on the weekends in your local market. But it started out, it really wasn't, how would you say, they were fleshing out the format in the beginning.
Right.
I mean, you had the events, and that did look like it looked like something out of a, how would you say,
like the movie The Omega Man?
Yeah, it did. It looked like something out of that. That the assault course was not fleshed out as it became in later seasons. Powerball was played on a half moon shape.
Yeah, I never really figured that one out.
Yeah, neither could I. We also are the only country until the 2008 revival that played Powerball for only 45 seconds instead of a full minute.
Right. Was there a reason for that?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but
I remember the ref looked like an executioner in that very first season.
Yes, he did. And that was the that was the idea. The referee, because the gladiators were gladiators, the referee looked like the executioner. He
Right.
would make he would make his ruling by a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
That was before they brought in Larry Thompson as the referee,
Correct.
and he was a football ref, I believe, before he.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was a retired NFL referee.
Good person. That was the right choice to bring him in.
Yes, it was.
And then of course you had oh what
That first season, the commentators were Joe Theismann and Mike Adamle.
and he was there for the entire season, Mike Adamle.
Yeah, Mike Adamle was there for the entire series.
Right.
He even did the International Gladiator specials.
Yep. Which I watched. I watched the U.S. the international one done in the U.K.
Yes. That's where the international tournament was filmed, was in the UK.
Yep. And I think that was won by the U.S.
Yep. It was won by the US.
Yep.
Surprisingly.
Oh, I forget the guy's name that won it. It'll come to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, back then, there really were only 6 events.
Yep.
And they were shuffled every weekend.
Yep. And I have.
But yeah.
This is the. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay.
No, that's not what I wanted. But
Okay.
yeah,
It's live, folks. What can you do?
yep, that's not what I wanted. They gave me the excuse me. Wiki here gave me the lineup for the UK version
Right.
or a later run. But to give you an example, it would be like lineup one. I'm reading this from the wiki here.
Right.
These were not the original 6.
No.
But to give an example, they were Pyramid, Hang Tough or Assault, Joust or Whiplash, Gauntlet or Tug of War, Snapback, and then Powerball. That's not what it was originally. Oh, here
No,
we go.
that was.
Here we go. I found it
Okay.
here. The events that debuted on the show's first season only had 6 for the entire run on the American version, which were Breakthrough and Conquer. Oh, no. First season that lasted these are the events that lasted the entire run. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
reading that wrong. They
Okay.
were no the ones that lasted the entire run of the show were Breakthrough and Conquer, The Wall, Joust, my favorite, Assault, Powerball, and of course the Eliminator.
And those were the 6 events that started the whole thing.
Right.
Now we could sit here all night and talk about every little event that premiered on the show. We could do that, but we'll pick some of the more popular events.
Right. And of course talk about the champion. Yeah. Talk about some of the events as well too.
Yep. Okay. Breakthrough and Conquer. Pretty simple. It was part wrestling, part football.
Which also kind of gave the idea for that one event in Mario Party when you have the football.
Uh-huh.
You have that half football and playing Mario Party. And I'm sorry, going on to a reference here. And that's what that reminds me of. It just reminds me of the breakthrough part because you don't have the wrestling part. It's a 1 versus 3 game.
Right.
on that one. And it's basically just the breakthrough part. It's the football part.
Yeah. Anyway, the idea was simple. The gladiator had to stay in a 5 yard area between him and the goal line. And the contender could literally do anything to try to get the ball to the goal line.
Remember, I
Success
remember, yep. I remember in one episode I was watching the guy literally, the contender literally did a backflip over
over the
over the
cloud.
gladiator. Yep.
Yep, that is completely legal. That is.
Yep. Let me see. No, I'm not. I'm still not sure if we're still allowed to show clips or anything because we do
Right.
put these up on YouTube.
Right.
So yeah, I want to avoid.
Getting struck. Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
in that first season, the scoring system was, forgive the word, pathetic.
Yeah, I could not figure out the scoring system.
Yeah.
Excuse me there.
Now in season 2, the scoring format became the 10-point system we came to.
Well, wasn't it fixed in the second half of season 1?
Oh, yeah, it was. My mistake.
When they went from the dungeon set to the
The
gladiator.
Universal, yeah,
Yeah.
to the Universal Studios set. Yeah. Okay. But either way, that first season had to be completed, with the rules they had established.
Right. But it was still done
Uh,
as a tournament.
yes, it's always been a tournament. 20 men and 20 women qualified.
Yeah.
At least in the opening few seasons. 20 men and 20 men were chosen to compete.
And they were broken up into groups of 10, 10 and 10, I believe, right?
Yes.
That doesn't divide down evenly.
Well, I forget how it all played out.
Yeah.
But it was 20 men and 20 women were the initial. Later on, the tournament was fleshed out as what we came to know
Right.
later.
I think it was 8 or. Yeah, because I think it was 8, then 4, then 2. Then you had the champion. And then you
Yeah.
repeated that again. And then the 2 winners from
Faced
both.
off for the grand prize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the grand prize back then for winning American Gladiators really was only $25,000 and a new car.
Right. And I think in the first season it was the option to become.
Yeah. That was the idea, but it was the option to become one. No one ever exercised the option. But yeah, in season 1, you had the option to return to be a gladiator in the following season.
Yep, I found it right here.
Yeah.
Internal tournament format. When the series premiered in '89, 10 men, 10 women were selected to participate, with several more being in alternates. The tournament was spread out over the course of 13 episodes. Winning contenders from the first 5 advanced to the quarter, and the 3 highest non-scoring winners.
Or
Oh,
wild cards. Yeah.
yeah. After the
Which
preliminary
filled
round,
out the tournament.
yeah.
Yeah.
Once the quarterfinal began, the tournament began a single elimination affair, reaching the semifinal round, guaranteed 2,500. Runner-up will receive 5,000. Winner will receive 10,000 with the opportunity to become a gladiator.
Now, that was season 1. After that, the grand prize was increased.
Yeah.
When they realized they had a hit on their hands, yeah, the money had to go up.
Right. Going on here for the initial tournament format. However, in response to the popularity of the show, producers decided to produce a new tournament shortly after the first one concluded. 20 men and women were selected for the second competition, which began airing during the second half of the television series season in 1990, and the same tournament rules were applied. The initial tournament's champion, in lieu of becoming gladiators, were invited back to face off against the winners of the new tournament in what the show called the Grand Championship. The winners of
Yeah.
this match would be declared the season's overall champs and be rewarded with additional prizes when the show's second season premiered. The same format used.
Okay.
Yep. Going on here, just when it reached the
Yep.
third and fourth season, 48 increased to 48, and the tournament format was adjusted.
Yeah. Which people didn't like. This was when the show started going downhill.
This was what, towards the end of the run?
Yeah, towards the end of it, when each where it was where I forget what they did different, but they did a completely different format for season 3 and 4. Well, for season 4, for season 3, it was still your classic tournament format.
Season 5 went to the 32-man competition.
Single elimination tournament. Yeah. Now, somewhere in there, the tournament was adjusted not based on who won the eliminator. It was based on how many points you scored during the
competition.
During the competition. Yeah. And only the highest scores would advance.
The preliminary rounds were just were played for seeding purposes rather than to advance into the quarterfinals for season 5.
Right.
With 8 contenders on each side ranked in order of how they performed in their initial matches. Once seeding the tournament continued as it did in previous years. The main difference being that there were no longer. So in season 5, they took out the wild card.
Yeah. And then it became straight single elimination. You lose, you're out. You had to win all the way through to win the grand prize.
Right. And then season 6 and 7, the format changed again, and they used the British version at the time.
Yeah.
The winners receive 25,000 for victory. Once all
2,500.
Yeah. What did I say? 25,000.
Yeah, you said 25,000. The ultimate winner got $25,000.
Yeah.
But every contest winner was guaranteed at least $2,500 for the 7th and 8th, for the 6th and 7th, or the 7th and 8th season.
Yep. Oh, according here to the wiki on American Gladiators, it was supposed to represent an ancient Roman gladiator arena.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then for the second half, going forward, it was what we all know.
It became the show we became.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took them half a season to get it fleshed out, like you said. Yeah. But they did get it fleshed out. And like I said, come season 2, they realized they had a hit on their hands, and they realized new events, new format, bigger payday.
Yep.
Now, what technic? Now, I think we established this one time. Don't hold me to this, but I think you said at one time your favorite event on the show was Assault.
Has and always will be.
Okay. The Assault course went through quite a few changes during the 7 years the original show was on the air.
Yeah. In the original one, it was 4. Looking at here, it said the first half of season 1, there were 4 safe zones consisting of a pillbox, a burnt out building, a thatch bush, 2 oil drums, and there were 4 weapons at each one.
Well, there was one weapon at each station.
Yeah.
There was no points given for firing the weapon. You either had to hit the target to get the points, or you didn't get anything at all.
Yeah.
Later on, if you
Yep. If they hit the bullseye, located at the foot of the platform, it was 100 points. Hitting the outer rim was originally worth 60, but they raised it to 75 by the end of the season.
Yep.
If the contender fired all 4 weapons unsuccessfully and take cover in the last safe zone until time expired, they got 30 points for the draw. And then from the second half onward, it became the 5 safe zones that we all know.
Right.
And
then
yeah.
and then try to scramble to the finish line if you failed to hit the target.
I did not like what they did for that in the revival.
No, that was another subject for another time.
Yeah, I know this is part of that discussion
Yes.
here. But
Yes.
they said here for the assault one, each weapon had to be loaded by hand, and several smaller barriers were added to further aid the contenders.
Yeah, they were.
When it went to the second season, they returned to having the weapons preloaded, except for one.
Yeah.
And here's the rundown for most of them. I have the rundown for everything on it.
Okay.
So for the first one of season 1A, the first half was rocket launcher, cannon, glitter pistol, and then 2 to 3 hand grenades.
Yep.
From the second half of season 1 to about the first half of season 4, it was crossbow, rocket launcher, cannon, pistol, and then they changed it for later in season 1. A ball rifle and crossbow went to station 4, and then station 5 had 3 hand grenades, 3 softballs, a pump gun, and then at the end it was 2 softballs again.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, the rules for assault changed over the years too.
Yep.
Later on, it became 1 point for every weapon fired, 10 points if you eliminated the gladiator from the contest.
And I think it was 5 points if you made it across the line.
Yes. Well, a bonus point if you made it across the line.
Draw awarded beginning in season 2, 3, and continuing the rest of the season and the revival. All targets hit were worth 10 points. If they failed to hit the target, contenders were awarded 1 point per weapon fired. A draw awarded an additional point for a total of 6 points.
Yeah.
Yep. Another one of my favorite ones was Atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. which was a hard event in itself in conception.
Yes.
No, they're 1-ton human hamster wheels is what they were.
So I gotta ask, did they actually get the idea from Double Dare for that one?
I don't think so. But they were, you get the idea.
Yep.
The Gladiators and the Contenders were inside rolling, cages and had to trip the sensors on the scoring pods to score points.
Yep. Now, how did they know when it was the Contenders one and not the Gladiators one going over that?
The judges made the decision.
Okay.
There were judges overlooking, the arena and knew to press the button to fire the jets if a contender had done enough to trigger the scoring pod.
Okay.
Now, in the first season, Atmosphere was contended. You actually had to settle the spear in the pod for the gold to count.
Just like in the video game. You gotta go over that.
Yep. Now, in later seasons, you just had to run over the sensor in the pod to trigger it.
Right. And then, of course, we were just talking about this one, Breakthrough and Conquer.
Yep. But Breakthrough and Conquer led to the creation of another event in the 2008 revival.
Which one?
Earthquake.
Right. I'm looking at the list here.
Yeah. Breakthrough and Conquer, at least the Conquer portion, became the 2008 event Earthquake.
Right. They should have just brought that one back. That was a classic one. I know Atmosphere came back for the revival.
It did. And they took a few of the UK events and put them in the US revival in 2008.
Another one of my favorite ones, I would think, was Hang Tough.
Right. Interesting theory about Hang Tough. Hang Tough was on the verge of retirement. They were going to retire the event entirely because nobody was
making
because
it.
No one was making
nobody
was making it
right
to the other side of the arena to score, the 10 points.
Right.
So they had to ease up on the rules of it a little bit.
What did they change about that?
All right. You had to, when the event first premiered, it was all or nothing.
Right.
It was 10 points or nothing at all. Later on, it became 10 points if you could cross the rings, 5 points if you could stay on the rings for the full 30 or 60. I forget how long the event lasted.
Yeah, I'm looking that up now on the thing.
Yeah. But you had to get within a certain range of the Gladiators platform to score anything.
Right. Contenders were given 60 seconds to reach the opposite end of the platform. If they did, 10 points. If they lasted the whole 60 seconds and was still on the rings, they received 5 for the draw, unless the official determined that they did not make enough effort to advance.
Yeah. You can't just stay in one place. You have to constantly try to move forward.
Yeah. This rule was instituted after several early playing saw contenders only going out for a short distance from the platform.
Yeah.
It also gave rise to the short-lived 7-point draw possibility.
Yeah, if you got to a certain point on the rings.
They were color-coded.
Yeah, they were color coded. The rings were still color coded. You had, for example, the rings nearest the contender were blue. You had to leave the blue section of the rings to get anything.
Right.
And then you were eligible for the draw or for the win if you crossed the platform.
Contenders were required to continue moving as long as they were not stuck on one ring or engaged with the gladiator.
Right.
Neither the contender nor the gladiator could stay in one place for more than 10 seconds.
Right. You constantly had to move.
Unless, I'm guessing, unless you were fighting off the gladiator or something.
Right. If the gladiator and the contender made, contact on the rings, you were fair game.
Right.
That
Gladiators were,
was,
yep, they were not
yep.
allowed to contact the contenders above the shoulders or pull the contestant down by their uniform. And that
No.
has happened a few times. I've seen that.
Yes, and in the event that does happen, if a gladiator is disqualified for breaking the rules of the event, the contestant automatically gets the 10 points.
Which has happened a few times on the show.
Yes.
One that was retired very shortly on in the run, the human cannonball.
Now that's because of the injury sustained in human cannonball.
I thought that was also by what happened with the one contender.
That too. But they realized this is dangerous, and it was quickly retired.
Yeah. And then that's when Hang Tough came in instead.
Right. And then from there, later on in those shows run, they introduced way too many bungee cord events.
I'm guessing
in my
that
opinion.
was because of Guts. That had to be because of Nickelodeon Guts.
Yeah.
The only bungee event that I liked was the one where you jumped down and then you had the 3 different colored balls to grab.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what the name of that event is.
We'll come it'll be on this list.
Okay.
Here's one that I think everyone here remembers, the joust.
Yep, pretty simple concept. You against the gladiator with pugil sticks for 30 seconds. Right. Stay up for the 30 seconds, you get 5 points. Knock the gladiator off or get the gladiator disqualified, you get 10.
And then 5 for the draw.
Yep.
And I think they had a couple servicemen on that were actually good with that from their basic training, and they allowed them to do it again.
Yes, they did.
And then from the second half of season 3 onward, they both started wearing the gloves and everything.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
Now from season 3 on, no, there were rules you had to obey.
I gotta ask this real quick. With the joust, it always looked like the Gladiators platform was smaller than the Contenders platform.
It was.
Okay. Was there a reason for that?
To give the contender a chance. Because if later on the platforms became both platforms were the right size.
Okay.
Were the same size, but
all right.
Now Gemini holds the record for most wins in the joust.
Okay, did not know that.
Yeah, Gemini holds it. Now there were only a handful of contenders, only a handful of gladiators, excuse me, could participate in the joust because of the equipment could not be resized.
I'm guessing Nitro was one.
Yeah, Nitro was one that just couldn't participate in the joust.
He was always more for the assault course.
Now back to the assault. Realize that the gladiator had only 25 rounds
Now
of
that
ammunition.
now that I did not know.
Yeah, he had only 25 shots to try to take you out. If he ran out of ammunition, you didn't have to worry about the gladiator. You just had to worry about hitting the target.
Has that actually happened on the show?
Yes, that actually has happened on the show where the gladiator has run out of ammunition.
Because going back and watching some of the old classic episodes, I have not seen that happen.
But it has happened.
Right. Now, here's one that I thought was like a really weird event. The maze.
Okay. Yeah, kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
Right.
But the concept of the maze was later used in Gauntlet.
Okay. Confused.
By trying to. Okay. The gladiators were in the maze. They were only there to slow you down.
All right.
Same thing for the Gauntlet. The gladiators were only allowed to slow you down. They couldn't try to take you out of the half pipe. They were not allowed to.
Right.
And they
Otherwise, the
had
ref would stop the clock and.
Yeah. Now, that was one of the few events where the time ticked up.
Wait, the maze event clock tipped up?
No, Gauntlet.
Oh,
The
Gauntlet.
clock ticked up. Yeah.
Okay.
One gladiator, you got 1 point for every gladiator that you got past. And you got bonus points for how fast you were able to get out of the gauntlet.
It was
Later
25
on.
seconds to start out.
Right.
And then in the revival, they gave him 30.
Right. 2 points for a gladiator for the maximum, and 5 gladiators to get through for a possible 10 points.
That was for the revival.
That was for the revival, but in the original gladiators, it was 1 point a gladiator and bonus points for how fast it took you to get through the 5.
5 points.
Yeah,
if
5.
If they made it out in under 20, they got 10 points.
Okay.
Yep. And here's one that we were just talking about at the top. Powerball.
Probably the signature event of the entire TV show.
Yes.
Pretty simple concept. 5 goals scattered out over the arena. The 4 outer ones.
Go ahead.
Depending upon how late they were in the season, determined how many points each goal was worth.
I think the outer ones were worth 1 and the center one was worth 3.
Right.
No.
Later on.
No. Second half of season 1, the outer ones were worth 1 and then 2. After that, it varied from 1 to 3 points, and then 2 to 5 points, depending on the season and round of play.
Right. Which is what I just said.
Yep. And then, of course, we had when they introduced crunch time and everything to the thing. That's when we got Super Powerball.
Yes, which was quickly retired because the rules made Superpower Ball more, I would just say,
Far fetched.
not far fetched, more along the lines of because the rules were more relaxed in crunch time because contestants were trying to make up ground.
Yeah.
Uh,
Was that the whole thing also with crunch time that they just use that one to make up time and everything?
no, crunch time was always the sixth event when it was introduced.
Okay.
And it was always an event where you could score a lot of points in a short amount of time.
Like Powerball.
Like Powerball, Atmosphere, and there were a few other events in there that
Right.
was always the sixth in later seasons. Crunch time was always the sixth event, and it was always the last. It was always the last event before the Eliminator. And let's talk about the Eliminator.
Yep. I know.
Changed over the course.
Yep. Oh, before the Eliminator, we got to talk about one of the other famous events, the Wall.
Oh yeah, had its format changed throughout the years too.
Yep. See, I didn't like the format where the wall was just like your standard flat climbing wall that they used towards the end. I liked it when it was sectioned off. You had you had the side for the women's competition, and then you had the side for the men's competition.
Right. Now, the wall is one of those events where, until the last few seasons, the rules for the event was pretty standard.
Right.
You got a 10-second head start to climb, and then the gladiators were turned loose. If they pulled you off, you were out. If you were still on the wall after the time limit, you got a draw. If you made it to the top, you got 10.
Right.
Later on, it became a race.
Yep. Yeah. In season 5 of the original series, it was divided into 5 sections.
Yeah.
Yep.
And depending upon which section you got up, determined how many points you scored.
Right. Contenders, however, were able to cross over to the center platform. The original wall came back in the remake.
Yeah,
10
the
points if
original
you
rule.
made it up. 10 points for the first person to make it up. 5 if both made it up.
Now, keep in mind the wall was played over the water in the 2008 revival. If you were pulled off, you got a cold bath.
It seemed like a lot of shows in the early 2000s were like that. You had that. I think Doggy Dog was played over water as well.
Yes.
The UK version for Doggy Dog did not have the water element that we had in the US.
Doggy Dog was a dog without a tail in the U.S., and we will talk about it,
Yeah.
when we talk about game show turkeys.
Coming that'll probably be coming up soon in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
but then of course we gotta before we get to the eliminator, I know well I guess we can talk about some of the gladiators that were on the show as well.
Yeah. We need to talk about them because you can't have gladiators without
Yep.
the men and women that made it possible.
And then, like I said at the top of the show, Gemini actually lost on Eubanks's card sharks and on pressure luck.
He lost on both.
Yep.
I thought he was a retire.
No.
No, I'm thinking of Randy West. He was the first retired champion in the history of Press Your Luck. I
And
thought that was Gemini.
no, Randy was on from episode 10, I believe.
Yeah. And reached the house limit, which retired him.
Yep. And then, of course, you had Nitro, who was there for the
Yeah.
entire run of the show.
Yeah, and later became one of the commentators near the end.
Yep. Which I thought was fitting.
Yes. And he was one of the producers of the revival.
I did not know that. Now I thought he was like what Mark Summers was to the revival of Double Dare 2000.
And a consultant, no, he was actually one of the producers.
I did not know.
Yeah. Now, Nitro and Gemini are the two gladiators that always come to mind.
Right. Well, the other one would be Siren, the only death gladiator.
Yeah.
That was on the show.
Yep. But she held her own.
Yep.
She did.
Then I know a lot of them left from I think there was a contract disputement.
Yes.
So a lot of them left.
And had to be replaced. Yes.
Yeah. I think that was over royalties and everything.
Right, because the show was making a killing in reruns.
Who keeps calling you?
I'm on the air. Okay. Anyway.
I'm going to say this looking at the thing here. And the most recent gladiator passed away was just last year, Thunder.
See, I did not know that.
Yeah.
How many have we lost?
That died of just natural causes. That would be Thunder back in 21. Atlas appeared during the World Challenger Champions, died on 2017. They didn't list a date. Siren died in 2008. And then Hulk died in 2016.
I did not know that. See, it's been a long time.
Yeah. I like I said, I have the wiki pulled up on my end, so at least I'm having something to go on here.
Yeah.
Now, of course, even before we get to talking about the last event, the Eliminator, like what was brought up here in chat a little while ago, of course you had the different commentators with Mike, of course, Todd Christensen. I think the most famous one would be Larry Zonka.
Yes, it was. And then after him, after Larry, became that lady that was
Lisa?
the commentator. Yeah. For about 2 seasons. And then Lisa was replaced by
Thunder.
Nitro. By Nitro. Yeah.
And I was looking at the list here of champions. I think either you or somebody told me that one of the champions was a winner on another game show.
Trying to think of the.
Yeah, because I have the champions here that I'm looking at.
Right.
And I'll run down the list of both, if that's fine. I'll run down the list of both from season 1 onward. So from season 1, On the male side, we had Brian Hudson, who won it all, and then Lucian Anderson was the runner-up. And then for the female side, it was Bridget Venturi and Tracy Phillips. Please forgive me if I butcher these names. I suck. I'm bad at reading names
Okay.
and everything. I know that's like a game show host's worst nightmare, butchering somebody's name, right?
Yep, it is.
But it happens. For season 2, it was Craig Birmingham and then Rico. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name.
Yeah, that I know the name you're talking about.
Yeah. And then for the female side, it was Doran Cumberbatch and Maria. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name. For season 3, it was Mark Ortega. And then, go ahead.
That was the closest finished in the history of American Gladiators.
Right, I remember that. It was like the one guy was like really behind or something, and then he just
Yeah.
came
Exploded.
came through that gauntlet part and just dove right under. I think they had to go to the tape for that one.
Yeah, they had to go. It was a photo finish. They had to go straight to the tape.
Yeah, that I've seen that one plenty of times, but I think I don't know. I think it was you or somebody else told me that someone that was on Gladiators was a contestant or something for another game show. But
Well, he wasn't. Well, he wasn't. I can. He was a contestant on Gladiators, but he was known as being uh, a stunt double on Power Rangers.
oh, okay. I can ask my friend. I have a friend of mine
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
and I did not know that that was famous game show announcer John Harlan that did the
That
intro.
was the announce. Yeah, that
I
was
did
the
not know that
announcer.
was him. It did
Yep.
not sound like him from like from all those times just listening to him on you know
Yep.
name that tune and everything.
But
That
yeah,
was like the
that's him.
only. I think that was like the only show he did.
I'm not sure if.
I'm looking at it right now. Password on ABC, Tattletales. You don't say, face the music, cross switch, catchphrase, the original, the 78 version of Jeopardy. Press your luck. It's like everything's just tying back to press your luck.
Yep. You
Uh,
have to real.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna make a quick point here. Here, Peter Tomarkin said we were television's most competitive game. Realized that for a time, Press Your Luck was the most popular game show in daytime TV
Yep.
for a time, anyway.
Yep. Uh, Lucky Numbers. I remember that. I've seen both pilots for
Yeah.
that.
Right.
50 Grand Slam. I think that was the one hosted by Tom Kennedy.
Yes.
Wipeout. All Star Blitz. Celebrity Sweepstakes. It Takes Two. Uh,
Not the Dick Clark version.
no.
No. Yeah.
Jackpot. The 89 version.
Yes.
UHF. Believe it or not, the movie that Weird Al was in. UHF.
Which has been spoofed again by the Weird Al story on
Yeah, I had a couple of friends who saw, and
Yep.
of course, Weird Al was in that movie. Is played none other than the guy that the actor that played Harry Potter.
Yep. Daniel Radcliffe.
And then, of course, Make Me Laugh.
Yep. The 70s version.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I know him from just Name That Tune and everything. That's, that's where I
Right.
know him from. Name That Tune and Face the Music, the two music game
Compa-
shows.
yep. That were companions to each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And two that I hope to do on the convention circuit. Love to do that.
Anyway, back to the Eliminator.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple. It was an obstacle course. You got so many in the opening season, but the first half of each season of season 1, you got points based on how fast you finished the Eliminator.
Right.
From season 2 onward, it became you got a head start based on your final score, and the first person to finish the Eliminator moved on in the tournament.
Yeah. And of course, the most famous one was, um, for some reason, now correct me if I'm wrong on this one with the Eliminator, all right? When they went to the second half of season 1, when they went to the actual arena format, for some reason, I could have sworn that in either the lower right hand corner of the screen, there was like a map. Kind of like how in season 2 and season 3 of Hidden Temple, how there was the map that showed you the route that someone took.
No, because there was no map at all. It was just trying to think of it. There was no map on the screen at all. There was a clock
Right.
in that first season because you had to know how much time it took you to finish the Eliminator because you got points based on how much time was left on the clock.
That was like the thing. I thought for like some reason that second half of season 1, there was some type of map
No.
and everything. That was,
Now in season one, when you got to the bottom of the zip line, you had to choose which path to take.
right.
Uh,
That was when they went.
cause
That was,
yeah,
excuse me. That was after they added the cargo net.
right,
Because when they had that smaller arena, you couldn't have the cargo net and the zip line.
right. You couldn't have that at all.
They called it the swing for life.
Yeah, but still, that part of the Eliminator survived until season 1, and then the course was constantly evolving.
Right. And of course, the version I know it as, and I think everyone here in chat remembers this one. It started off with the Travelators to the handbike to the spinning balance beam, cargo net,
Yep.
zip line, and then that last part would always change.
Yeah. In season 2, in season 1, it was those 4 lanes you had to choose one of them. Three were guarded by gladiators. One was completely empty.
Right. And I think they translated that one into the video game.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. And I know that's something we'll have to talk about.
Yeah.
Real quick on this one. The video games, the
Yep.
merchandise at home.
Oh yeah. Yep, the at-home merchandise.
Yep. So we can't talk about it.
I'm
So,
listening.
yeah, we can end this without talking about the at-home merchandise.
Merchandise.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll let you take it away on that one. Now the one I grew up
Okay.
on was playing the old SNES.
right? But there was an NES version that absolutely stunk up the place.
Yeah, and I've seen
But
I've seen
yeah,
someone actually beat it, and I made a fellow streamer, and not
play
mentioning
it. Yeah.
names, they know who they are. Play it
Yep.
and everything, and I was just watching, and I was just watching them fail.
Mhm. It
Cause,
was a hard. That was one of the hardest games that Game Tech ever produced.
Cause it was mainly what, just climbing up the wall and everything.
Yes.
You had to, I think, what, you had to climb the wall, and then once you got to the checkpoint on that, then you picked one of the four events or something. Or how did
Yeah.
that work?
You picked one of the events to compete in when you started the game, and
Okay.
from there you had to complete that event by however it was set up. Sometimes if for example if you chose to compete in the joust, you had to beat four gladiators by platforming,
Right.
and then if you chose human cannonball, you had to defeat four gladiators, by timing your swing on the rope.
Right.
it was it was a it was a crap fest. I don't recommend for many people.
No.
I've seen people do it, but when the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version was released, Game Tech got it right.
Yep. And the six events in that one, in order of how they were played, were you started off with assault, human cannonball. I think Atmosphere was the third one,
Yes.
and then Powerball. The wall was always the last.
Somewhere in there, you also had the joust.
Yeah, Joust, and then the wall. Hold on, I'm gonna look that
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
Let me look that up. Maybe it's on the.
Oh, the wiki.
Hold on. Whoop. Give me 1 second, because as I type, sometimes it's gonna switch that.
Okay.
All right, here we go. When in doubt,
Yep.
Wikipedia. GameFAQs is the help for this one.
Oh, game facts. Okay.
Oh no, wait, that's for the that's for the version we were just talking about. That's for the NES.
Yep.
All right, let me see here. Yep. American. By the time American Gladiators was released for the SNES, the developers has changed the game to a more faithful copy of the TV series. The game offered two-player mode that alternated between simultaneously and alternating base played on the event. There was also the tournament mode, where up to 16 players could face off, 8 and 8, with any missing were done by the thing. The events from the previous game joined by Atmosphere, where they always play, and this was the order. There was always a playing order. So here was the playing order. I was right on this. It was Assault, Human Cannonball, Atmosphere, Joust, Powerball, and then the Wall. Although the game was more faithful interpretation of American Gladiators, adjustments were made between. there that had in the U.S., and they were assault, 1 point for firing, all five hitting the outer, 5 for hitting the outer target, 10 for hitting the bullseye. Although a player could never see where the target they hit. That was the only downfall in that one.
Yeah.
Human Cannonball only got you one swing. Atlas Field was
10 or
one.
nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Atlas Field was 1 point per goal. Joust was 45 seconds, and the object was to drain the opponent's health bar instead of knocking them
Yeah.
off.
Right.
Powerball was 60 seconds. 1 point for the outer, 2 for the center. The wall was 30 seconds with a 5-second head start. The Eliminator in this game combined elements of the first two seasons courses. So you had the Travelator, the Handbike, followed by the Balance Beam, although a gauntlet of what appeared to be blocking pads mimicking the first season course's attempt at the same thing but using medicine balls. The Cargo Net and the
Right.
Zip Line, followed by a choice of any door which may or may not have a gladiator behind it. You had 60 seconds to complete the course, and any fall immediately deducted 10 seconds from whatever time the player had left on the clock at that particular point. Player that reached
Right.
the finish line first, regardless of time penalties, received 10 points. The second player received 5. If the Eliminator ended with a tie score, the players ran the course again to break the tie.
Now, that's not how the actual game
Right.
show worked. Yeah.
But, they, it's art imitating life. They got to take the
Yep.
liberties in video game and everything. So,
Yep. They do.
and everything. And then, yeah, the NES version going on by that. Very greatly that even were morphed into side-scrolling and overhauling the mini levels that only partially resembled real-life events. Like you
Yeah, it
said,
was.
like you said, each Joust event involved 4 different gladiators battling atop the platforms. The human cannonball, the
But
wall.
which was one of the harder events on that game.
Yep. Floor and the occasional tedious stretches featuring empty spaces with few handholds to navigate in order to advance. The wall was particularly tough due to the difficulties in controls. Nothing
Yeah, it
new there.
was. It was the NES, so enough
Yeah,
said.
yeah. And the eliminator consisted of I-beams in which a player jumped from one shotgun-like platform to the next.
Yep. If you completed the Eliminator, you beat the game.
I think you moved on to the next. The next
No.
level.
No, you had to. There were 5 levels to the game,
Right.
each harder than the last. If you completed all 5 levels, it triggered the Eliminator event. Beating the Eliminator would beat the game.
Oh, let me check that out. Let me go to Game Facts on that one.
Okay.
Days.
Yeah. So level 1 consisted of Powerball.
They all had the.
Yeah,
They,
Powerball, Assault,
yeah.
Joust, Cannonball, The Wall, and someone did a nice job of doing the thing.
They did?
No, they did a nice job of actually, designing the way that the wall looked.
Right.
Like using that old ATT type thing
Yeah.
and everything. I've actually seen someone play through it on that one, and
You have?
yeah. And then I know that they did a couple live shows as well for American Gladiators.
Yes, they did.
So I remember the one in Atlantic City.
Yes. Which is a good one.
Yeah.
Which was a good one.
Yeah. Then I know, just like everything else, they had to have a kids version of the show.
Yep.
And then I think it also spawned off the TV series, the other one, Battle Dome.
Yep.
That was its spin-off series, and I used to watch that too. And everything. I that was like a spin-off, I believe, of American Gladiators.
Yes, it was. It was. But there were so many imitations to American Gladiators. There were so many American Gladiator
Yeah.
clones in the early '90s.
Right. And that ran from '99 to 2001.
Yeah, it did. Battle Dome did.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been a good discussion, folks. We could keep, because there are so many things we could talk about here, we can't cover them all in the time that we have.
Right. And plus,
So,
yeah, we might have to
yeah,
ask, you know,
yeah,
other people how to cover that next time.
yeah, yeah.
So I think what our
Uh,
next one would be the turkeys.
yep, Game Show Turkeys is next week because
Uh,
that's what we do the week before Thanksgiving. We talk about
give
the
me
turkeys.
All right, give me
Yep.
1 second here while we're all in the air. Let me just make sure about next Sunday. Nope. We can do it Monday, the 14th.
We'll do
I
it on Monday.
Yeah, I can't do it Sunday because I got to work the. No wait, I'm sorry. Tomorrow's the 14th. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
21st.
We can do that.
I can either do it the 21st or the 27th.
21st sounds good.
Okay. So that'd be like right after I think that's what, right after Thanksgiving?
21st. No, the 24th is Thanksgiving
Yep.
this year.
Yep. So we'll do it right before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So keep an eye out on the schedule on the Discord channel for that.
And
And
if
go ahead.
any of our listeners or our viewers have game show turkeys they want to talk about, send us some requests. This is your show, folks. What do you want to hear us talk about?
Yeah. We gotta see if we can drag
Yeah.
we gotta see if we can bring M Tiller in for that one.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. So we'll see you guys back here on Monday the 21st for that one at 8 o'clock.
Again, yep, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. And I don't think we'll have a smash or trash for that one.
We'll know by then who wins the Tournament of Champions. We will have something to say
Right.
for Smash or Trash.
Yep. And like I said, this will go up on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
And for those of you who are watching this on the YouTube channel, if you like what you see here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And then also follow us over on Facebook at Lost Silver Productions. And we also have some surveys over there for Card Sharks and one of our new shows, Strikeout. So please help us out by taking those surveys so we can bring back Card Sharks and
Yeah,
everything.
we need people to fill those out to keep our production,
For those shows going.
to to keep those shows going. We need those surveys filled out. So please
Yep.
help us out.
Yep. So until next time, I'm Yoko.
Yep. And I'm David.
And we'll see you next time for more Game Show Talk and Fun. Until next time, so long.
Good night, everybody.